In recent history, the US Army's had an odd relationship with light tanks. Despite always espousing their need for one, they haven't had a truly modern light tank since the 70s. The AGS system was by far their biggest letdown. Right as it was being delivered to troops, Congress cut the program. Since then, they've been filling the gaps with half-baked solutions, namely the Stryker MGS and tow Humvees. Tow Humvees have been used since the early 80s, despite being called a poor choice even then. The Army's latest endeavor, the Mobile Protected Firepower Program, aims to finally change that. The goal is to provide Infantry Brigade combat teams, IBCTs, with organic direct fire support. Fire support capable of engaging infantry, emplacements, hardened structures, and armored vehicles. For that last part, it'll mainly be engaging light vehicles, IFVs, APCs, MRAPs, stuff like that. MBTs are a potential target, but not a primary one. Before MPF, infantry teams only had light motorized vehicles. These mostly had automatic grenade launchers, 50 cals, and tow missiles. To back them up, they did have Stryker MGSs and M1s, but those weren't a part of the infantry teams themselves. Basically, they want to give IBCTs more of a punch, while still keeping them light on their feet. The MPF is apparently Schrodinger's tank though, because according to the Army, it both is and isn't a light tank. Looking at the competitors, I can see why they say that. Two companies placed bids for the program, BAE and General Dynamics. For BAE's bid, they submitted an improved AGS. The M8 is a pretty conventional design. The diesel engine's at the rear, with a turret in the middle and the driver up front. The 105mm M35 cannon is automatically loaded, so there are only 3 crew members. The autoloader is based on a naval design, and can load at 12 RPM for 21 rounds. 30 rounds are stowed in total, with all of them having blowout panels. The engine appears to be unchanged, but it has new entirely rubber tracks. It can also be assumed that the sights in FCS have been upgraded as well. In 2016, they were looking to install Gen 2 or Gen 3 FLIR for the gunner. The AGS has scalable armor packages, the same it had during the AGS program. An active protection system was listed as optional. At AUSA 2019, one M8 was displayed with Iron Fist, an Israeli APS. Compared to its original version, the vehicle's weight hadn't increased much. According to BAE, they stuck to the original AGS weight requirements. The GD bid isn't very similar. It seems to be largely based on the Griffin II demonstrator, which showed up around 2016 or so. It's based on the Ajax hull, which is steel and has the power pack up front. The turret, which is essentially a scaled down M1 turret, is made out of aluminum. It has a full crew of 4, and also uses the M35 cannon. Compared to the M8, this vehicle is relatively unknown. If I had to guess, I think total ammo capacity is around 40 rounds in total. It should probably go without saying, but the turret almost certainly has blowout panels. Supposedly, the engine produces 800 horsepower, though the vehicle is quite hefty. Depending on the armor package, its weight can range from 30 to 40 short tons. It can also be fitted with an APS. Since it essentially uses an M1 turret and uses most of the same systems, crews will have a much easier time being trained on it. Basically, the main advantages for each vehicle are as follows. For the M8, transportability, recoverability, and likely cost. For the Griffin II, protection, growth potential, and ease of training. Unfortunately, BAE was recently disqualified. Not only were they late in delivering their prototypes, but they also had several non-compliance issues. Usually, there's at least a little bit of leeway given in these programs, especially when you consider the impact COVID had, but not this time. The General Accounting Office has guidelines, and the Army is following them very closely. They don't want the program to fail, so they're keeping a tight schedule. With that in mind, it seems that GD will certainly get the contract, though there is the possibility that history will repeat itself. The program could still fail, and leave the Army without a vehicle. If all goes according to plan, they'll be issued the units in 2025. However, if the adoption of the GD prototype creates some problems. Unlike the M8, which could be transported and recovered by vehicles already used by the IBCT, the Griffin is too heavy. It requires new support assets. For IBCTs evaluating the Griffin II, they've had to use M88 recovery vehicles. These are not known for speed or mobility. In the end, these could drastically slow down IBCTs. There's also the manpower requirement. MPF divisions are being created from scratch. That means a whole lot of new tankers will need to be trained. With its crew of 4, the Griffin requires more tankers. Another potential issue is the 105. Though it allows for greater ammo capacity, it has to use a wider variety of ammo, so technically, effective ammo capacity is decreased. For the 120, you only need 2 rounds now, APF SDS and AMP, the advanced multi-purpose round. The 120 is obviously more potent as well. As far as the 105 is concerned, M900 is the best you can get. Anyway, that's about all there is to say for now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.